Trouble don't care what title you hold. Trouble don't care what degree you have behind your name. Trouble don't care who you are. Trouble has a way of finding us all. We changed ship trying to avoid the storm, but we ran into trouble anyway. And it was in the midst of this storm that Paul fella in verse 10, he said, I think we should lay low for a little while. We should wait before we take off to sea. But it was some people that thought they knew what was best. Not me. But it was some other people on board that says, no, we're going to press on anyway. And we found ourselves in the midst of a storm. We found ourselves in the midst of a tornado. We found ourselves in the midst of a whirlwind. Can I tell somebody that sometimes in life we find ourselves in some storms because we do not heed godly advice? Oh, God. I wish I had some real people here this morning say, some of the trouble I've ended up in is all because I did not listen to God's voice. It's all because I did not follow God's command. I wish I had some real people here this morning. It's just family talking. Can we be real? That says, I found myself in some storms simply because God told me to stand still, but I had made up my mind I was going anyway. I found myself in trouble because God told me to go, but I decided I was going to stand still. I found myself in some trouble simply because I would not heed and listen to the voice of God. And maybe you've never camped out on this avenue, but there's some people that have said, I've cried out to God for an answer. And when God gave me the answer, it was not the answer that I was expecting. So I made up my mind I was going to do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I found myself in trouble. Is there anybody here this morning have found yourself in trouble simply because you would not heed the word of God? That Paul fella told us we should lay low, but there was someone boy that had made up their mind that no, we're going to press on anyway. And so consequently, you have my story in front of you. Verse 14, it said, we found ourselves caught up in a storm that was raging like never before. The storm tossed us back and forth. The storm tossed us side to side. The storm would not allow us to get any sleep. The storm had us panicking. The storm had us worrying. The storm had us thinking that this was the end. This storm even caused us to lose something. Have you ever been in a storm that has cost you something? You ever been in a storm that has made you go through a setback in life? You ever had to go through a storm that made you feel like I'm not coming through this? Oh, God, but I think there's some people here this morning that says, I've gone through some storms that's cost me something. I've gone through some storms where I lost anything, but I'm here this morning with a praise because in the midst of losing everything, the one thing I never lost was my mind. Is it anybody here this morning say,